According to Reuters, banks are quietly extending billions of dollars in bad real estate loans. Why? Well, because foreclosures would crush their balance sheets. So pools of assets designed to protect and reserve the debt that's out on the street here is very lightly covered. It's very shallow. There's not a lot of assets behind the debt that they're lending. So US banks have 2.08 in reserves for every dollar of debt past due, down from 278 2 years ago. And including mods, the average coverage ratio of all US banks drops to $1.38. So the strategy, it continues at the top with these institutions to be extend and pretend. And 2025 looks like the year when the pretending is going to stop working. And the gap between the debt and the property values continues to grow. These loans aren't going to fix themselves. So that's where we step in, investors like us, ethical entrepreneurs who can fix these problems where the institutions are stuck. But this chart, Bill, this was the most striking to you, right?
Just to put it in perspective for everybody, like when I started this business, the one thing that I really thought was cool and I talked a lot about to really explain this business to people is there was at one time that banks were actually required to have 3 times that amount in reserves to every dollar that was out there that was non-performing. And if you just think about those numbers on a humongous scale, like when that happens, it means the banks can't lend out the money that they have and make money on the regular loans that they do all the time. So to see that number starting to go down, that means they have less and less money in reserves to lend out. I mean, it's just a matter of time before that just blows up.
And they have to sell the non-performing loans to make that ratio. I mean, it's one way to fix the ratio, sell the non-performers so that the balance sheet looks a little stronger. So we've seen that these numbers kind of be obfuscated over the years with the CARES Act, with this accounting reliefs where they didn't have to report their non-performing debt. But now they're reporting it, and we're seeing kind of behind the curtain how rough the balance sheets actually look. To clean up their books, they're going to have to sell more non-performing loans. And as we know with the latest HUD news, this COVID relief, it's going to expire in September, and they can't continue to forbear these loans going forward. They're going to have to sell or continue the foreclosures or figure out what's going to happen next. So that is kind of crazy.
That statement right there is pretty wild, right under the chart. You know, there's some 240 US lenders now have less than $1 in reserve for every dollar of debt. Like the money that they have in reserves, they have to keep it there. And that is money not related to the debt. That's money that they can lend out and make the money that they normally do. Like that's what they want to do. But that money is sitting there doing nothing. So they have to get rid of this delinquent debt so they have money to lend back out.
And I think in general, when people ask like, well, why aren't the banks foreclosing? Why is there this opportunity for investors? Well, banks are not in the business of loss mitigation and collections. They're in the business of lending and collecting payments and earning interest. So when this kind of default rate increases and we've got these really staggering ratios, they can't handle it, and they would rather sell these loans to entrepreneurs who can handle it. So we're going to continue to see this develop over the year into September especially, and we'll continue to discuss as these articles pop up.